Hello, I'm William Gallagher and this is the 58 Keys Writing Workshop. I show you how I write something and then you disagree with me in the comments, okay? We got to work it like this. What to do when you are rejected. There's a 58 Keys Writing Workshop about how to make sure you get rejected, but assuming that you don't make all of those mistakes, you send something to an editor, to a publisher, to a producer, whoever it is, a magazine, whoever it is you're trying to send it to, odds are you're going to get rejected. This is what you should do. If it's a competition, by the way, that's rejected you, well, you should just shrug. I mean, what does it matter? Competitions are brilliant if you win them, and they are totally pointless and meaningless if you don't. You are not aiming to win competitions. You are aiming to write and be published or be produced or whatever it is. You want an audience for it. Competitions, winning them can help you get to it, but otherwise they don't matter. Who cares? Don't spend a lot of money entering competitions. But okay, there you go. You get rejected from the competition. Do read the whole email. I mean, why not? It's going to start with the standard of entries was so high. Yeah, probably not. There were so many entries. Yeah, it was really hot. No, probably not. There might have been a tussle over the first and second place, but you know, probably not. Sometimes the email will tell you something useful. It'll tell you if there's a related competition, there's a related offer. They might say, if you placed, I've seen it where they've said, oh yeah, I had one once where they actually invited me onto this exclusive, I can't think, like a mentoring scheme thing. It was fantastic news. So even though I didn't get whatever it was, whatever in the world it was I was after, I got this offer and that was huge for me. 14 years ago that was, and to this day they've never delivered on it. It got to the point where just, you know, every 6 months I'd email them for it. It actually got to one point where they said I was lying that I hadn't got it. So like, here's the email. So when do we start? Anyway, read it. Why not? But you know from the first line, don't you, that it's not going to get away with things, that it's not running, that you are rejected. That's the phrase I was stumbling for there. So fine, whatever. Forget competitions, everything else. This is what happens. You get the rejection email, and I don't care whether it matters to you or not. It's shocking to me how many times I will be rejected from something and it takes me a full minute to remember what it was that I pitched for. Because you have to do a lot of pitching. It's going to be, yeah, just okay. And most of the time it's, you know, whatever, shame, move on. There are some that will always knife you. I've had things that have really knocked me back at the rejections, but most of the time it's just, so what, whatever. Reply to them very quickly and be incredibly polite. Thank them very much for considering you and say this. I hope that if I have something in the future that I think is right for you, I hope that I can send it to you again. The phrasing of that I think is important psychologically really for us. For it. What you have just done for yourself is enable you to send them something later. Now they haven't said you can, but you haven't told them I'm sending stuff to you. You've just basically been a bit professional about it. You've also said, oh, fine, rejection, I understand, moving on. But this one wasn't quite right. If I think there's something else, maybe. And at some point, probably you will send this on, give it a couple of months or whatever, and genuinely think of something that might be more suited to them. Thing is, I don't care whether you're ever going to send it to them again. I don't care why they rejected you. You say that. Thanks very much for it. Whatever. I hope I can send you something in the future. And out. I'm so used to that freelance dance that I've done that even when there is no chance in hell I will ever speak to these people again. I mean, normally it's after I've actually worked with them, and I can only think of one example. Anyway, so a bit melodramatic there, William, but still, doesn't matter. Even though there's not a pixel of a chance I will work for this particular group again, still, afterwards, I sent them that email just as I would had they rejected me. Now, really, really important is this. Don't bitch about it. You would be ashamed of writers as a species for how often people who are rejected complain about it. There isn't a single chance in the world that you will change a no into a yes. It is gone. Let it go. All you will do by complaining is, well, the thing is, whatever type of writing you're doing, that field is quite a small world. and you become known pretty quickly as being a pain in the backside, basically. And always with writing, yes, it's about the words on the page. Of course it is. That's the most important thing. But it's also about you as a writer. You need to work with people. So if you're going to be a pain, it's harder to get your stuff away. So you come back quickly, so quickly that, well, I mean, I've replied, I haven't done it instantaneously, but under 10 minutes. Because what that is saying is, you know, if they've given you any comments, you haven't read them yet, you're just thanking them now and you'll work with it, probably, whatever. You're being prompt, you're being professional. Even if it takes them a year to get back to you, I've quite often said, thanks for getting back to me so quickly. I realise now that might sound sarcastic, but it's worked for me in the past. In, out, be a professional. You know, we call this submitting work. I really wish we didn't, because that instantaneously means offering up to the higher powers. Your work is needed, right? And you need the work. Whoever you're going to, publishers, editors, producers, the lot, they need you, we need them. We are all professionals. We're all on the same level. It's just at this point, at this time, it didn't happen to work out. Be a pro about it. I mean, if you must, go kick the cat or something, but in your response to them, be really professional, really normal about it. I've had people reject me in such a way that I had a bad impression of them, that they came across as really up themselves. There was a theatre once, they wrote back, so it's amateur theatre, it's a complicated reason why I even submitted something, but I had what I thought they'd like. They didn't, fine, but they wrote back like they were the Royal Shakespeare Company and I was a toddler in crayon. And even with them, I thanked them for the time. Yeah, maybe that one was sarcastic, but you know. So yeah, you might go into your writing shed or your office or something, you might slam the odd door, but it doesn't matter. How you present yourself through the email, because it's always email, isn't it? That's what matters for this. Now, having done that, there is a possibility that they might tell you something in the rejection. Typically, it's no, there's nothing. It's just not right for us now. Okay. If they tell you something in that first rejection email, well, take it, think about it. Conceivably, they'll send you some notes as well, possibly. I mean, it's not very common, but it can happen. And again, if it happens, you take them. You might not like them. You might vehemently disagree with them, but you take them. They'll never know you disagree because you've just been a pro and replied back nicely. And now you can see it over the notes. But most of the time, there is nothing at all. Most of the time, it's a standard rejection. There is a really surprising tendency, surprising to me, for writers to ask for feedback about things. Don't do it. There is no point at all. The person who sent you the rejection letter is quite likely to not be the person who rejected you. So what you're doing is you're putting work on them as they have to go off and ask somebody and find something. And in the end, nobody is ever going to admit to you certain things. Like, let's say you put a script into a film production company and there was some incredible disaster with a budget on another project and the whole studio shut down. There is no possible way a producer is going to write back to you and say, your script was brilliant, but we're out of money. It's just not going to happen. So they might even say, well, it was good, but we felt the ending wasn't there. And you go off and you start working on the third act for this. And the truth is they didn't read the first act because they lost the money before they even opened your email. What did I have once? I had this thing once where there was a TV show in the UK. It wasn't a very good TV show, but it did accept new writers for a while. And then it stopped accepting new writers. And I knew somebody who sent a script into them and got a rejection, and they were happy. And their reasoning, when I asked why, I mean, fine to be good about it, fine to not care, but actually happy, they said, well, they must have liked it. I'm really struggling with that one. Years later, I still can't quite grasp it, because all that happened was some poor sod in the production office, their job that morning was to open an envelope with the script and put it in another envelope and send it back with the standard letter. Okay. Don't ask for feedback on things until You are working with someone continuously. Once you're working with a producer, an editor, a publisher, then feedback, grab it all, take it all, ask questions, go to them when you have problems with it, talk to them. It's all about building a relationship. But the first thing is when you're rejected, it's done. And here's the nice thing. I truly cannot tell you how often I have got work later from people who rejected me. And it's explicitly because of how I worked with them when I was rejected. And I'm looking at you like, can I tell you another story? Quick story. I used to work, I wrote on a website, I don't think I can name it. It came to a point where on this website, a long time ago now, where there were budget problems again, and they were going to let go of some number of staff. I can't remember how much. I was actually freelance there, but I was still in the pot of people who were at risk. I didn't think I was. It was one of those things where you looked at it and you thought, right, I think it was 4 men, 2 women. You looked at the list of it and you'd think, right, anybody sensible would keep him and let the rest go. There was no question. I'm not trying to knock myself or any of the others to let go, but they were obviously the ones to keep, and they are the ones they kept. They just dragged this out over 6 weeks, 6 months. Can't have been 6 months. It might have been 3 months. Split the difference. It was a very long time. I was unhappy in that because, you know, the thing where you have to interview for your own job again. Well, they did a kind of thing like that involved them getting me to take a typing test, and that was infuriating. But the trouble is, I was already gone. The moment they announced they were getting rid of this number of people, I knew I had to be one of them. Not knocking myself again at all. It's just no question. The roles they needed, the roles I did, the budgets, I was gone. So immediately in that moment, my mind was on the next job. I was out looking for other stuff. I mean, freelance, I was doing that anyway, but I did it more. And I had to sit through, I think it was 4 HR sessions with it. And I would go into the HR sessions, and there would be a HR officer, somebody else, can't remember what they did, maybe a union representative, don't know. And all of them, when I would go in, would be slumped over the chair, worn out from whoever it was that was before me. I'd walk in and they'd sit up and we'd have a chat. We'd have a chat. One of them had just gone through this horrible operation and things. And it was actually, I think she enjoyed telling me about it. I enjoyed learning about this person, and she's all right now, so that's great. But the thing is, unlike the people before me, I knew it was over and there was nothing could happen. The people before me were fighting it tooth and nail. You will never change a no into a yes, except, how many people did I say? So it's like 4 or 5 of us got kicked out of there. Only 1 got hired back ever. And yeah, of course it was me. You could tell from the way that story was counted. I got hired back by them just as a freelance on just one particular job about a year later or so. None of the rest did. And all logic says they should be. They're all good. They all knew the work. They all knew the company. They all knew the website and stuff. But be a pro. That's it. I think when you're a writer, because we spend so much time on our own, it's very easy to see us and then the rest of the world. And also it's very easy when you get rejection after rejection to see it as like this wall of rejections, that this is wall you can't break through. And that, I mean, I think that sometimes even now, it's very hard to shake that feeling. But the truth is, no, it's not like that. You're a professional, they're a professional. They're busy on a lot of things, and so busy that something that is rejected kind of falls by the wayside, gets dealt with when it can be dealt with. But still, you're a professional, they're a professional, and the next time you meet could be right. 58 Keys Writing Workshop is all about the aspects of writing, but things for this to be useful, I think I really need you in the comments. So particularly if you disagree with that one about asking feedback, give me a reason why you should ask for feedback. I'd be very curious to know. And I wonder, will you change my mind? I love having my mind changed. Have a good go in the comments, please. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Write some more, would you? Okay, look after yourself. And those two kind of go together. And I'll see you soon.